Welcome everyone to the Cardiovascular and Respiratory Healthcare MSc seminar, telling you about how you can join our course to acquire a master's or a postgraduate diploma or a postgraduate certificate. We're very excited to welcome you to this. We're going to take you through a description of our program, how the learning progresses through the course. A very important part of this course is your research project, which we'll discuss next. And then we'll look at what happened with previous students, what happened when they finished the course, what kinds of jobs did they go on to, or studies did they go on to. Then a lot of you are very interested in the details of how to apply, and Leanne will be covering that in great detail. And then finally, we look forward to getting your questions and answering them to help you through this process.
Today's meeting is led by myself as the course director, and we have Dr. Leanne Felkin, who is our senior teaching fellow who manages the program day to day, assisted by Dawn Stagerman, our program administrator, and we have two student reps with us, Cindy Gao and Ellen Kong. This is the illustrious institution at which you'll be doing your studies, Imperial College, and specifically the National Heart and Lung Institute, the largest heart and lung institute in Europe. Certainly the best place to study cardiovascular and respiratory disease. We have three campuses: the Royal Brompton Hospital, the Hammersmith Hospital, and the South Kensington campus, which is in between them. There are over 500 staff, including 4 fellows of the Royal Society, 22 fellows of the Academy of Medical Sciences, and around 200 million in research grants held by various academics here. It is a major teaching centre in the UK and Europe for medical undergraduates and for specialist scientists in cardiovascular and respiratory disease. We currently have just over 200 PhD students and 150 medical MSc students, of which you might be one this time next year. So this is our current pool of students, recent pool of students. People come from a lot of backgrounds, and I'm sure you have a range of backgrounds. They may be recent graduates of medical biosciences, sports sciences, rehab, nutrition, pharmacology, or already working in a healthcare profession in a hospital as a nurse, physiotherapist, respiratory therapist, paramedic, or doctor. And also we have some of you will be coming from pharma or sports sciences background. Why you choose to come to Imperial? Well, we are one of the world's premier universities, and arguably the world's premier university that focuses on science, technology, and medicine. We are the only UK program as an MSc that combines cardiovascular and respiratory science, and we focus on clinical application of knowledge, critical evaluation of up-to-date research, and evidence-based practice. So the MSc combines innovation and technology to improve healthcare, and you will learn real world skills that are career enhancing and transferable. You will also be doing your research project in world-class facilities supervised by our leading experts in this. So I will turn you over now to Leanne, who will tell you about our details of our program.
Thank you, Daryl. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Leanne Felkin, and as Daryl said, I'm the Senior Teaching Fellow on the MSc in Cardiovascular and Respiratory Healthcare. I've been with the programme since 2019, and for those of you lucky enough to come and join us at Imperial, I'll be there, daily to guide you, for your study and for your time with us at Imperial. So I'm now going to spend the next sort of 10 to 15 minutes giving you an overview of the programme. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we teach and how we assess here at Imperial, and I'll also talk about the research projects. And when you're really excited about the programme that we offer, I'm going to outline our entry requirements to you and explain how to apply. Right, so the Cardiovascular and Respiratory Healthcare Programme was established in 2018 and it's now in its 7th year. The programme was designed to be flexible and can be taken as a postgraduate certificate, a postgraduate diploma, or the full MSc. We have full-time and part-time study options. In each year, we have 25 spaces available for students. We teach face-to-face on campus. We're based primarily at the Royal Brompton campus, which is in Chelsea, just down the road from the King's Road, in a beautiful part of London. But we also visit the Hammersmith campus, which is in West London, not far from the fantastic new facilities that Imperial are building in the West Tech corridor, and also Westfield as well. And we have the main campus up at South Kensington, and you can see it here in the springtime when it's looking glorious. The programme lasts for 1 full calendar year. It's 52 weeks long. And for the upcoming academic year, we'll be starting on the 27th of September. In terms of the programme structure, the programme is modular with both taught and research modules. It can be completed in 3 different ways, as I explained, which is the certificate, the diploma, or the full MSc. Most of our students are enrolled on the full MSc, and the full MSc can be taken part-time or full-time. The difference between the different qualifications is in the number of academic credits the students have to complete. So, for example, for the PG Cert, students complete 30 academic credits. For the diploma, students will complete 60 academic credits, and for the full MSc, students will complete 90 academic credits. In all programmes, students undertake the taught modules, with the full MSc also requiring students to complete the research project module, which is 30 credits. For the taught modules, these are split into core modules and elective modules. The core modules shown here in blue are compulsory. We have 4 core modules, and these form the foundation of your learning. We then offer elective modules, which allow our students to personalise their programme and their learning. And in the next academic year, we will have 4 elective modules, and you will choose 3 of them. Typically, students choose the elective modules according to their own interests. We find our students are primarily cardiovascular focused or respiratory focused, but they also make choices depending upon the skills they wish to develop and the learning experiences that we want to have. And when it comes time for our students to make their elective choices, I meet all of our students personally for a 1-to-1 half-hour session to help, to talk about what it is they want to achieve and accomplish on the MSc. So on the next couple of slides, I'm going to give you a little bit more detail about our modules. So looking first at the core modules, as I say, these form the foundations of our MSc, and they reflect the scientific and clinical approach that we have to your teaching and learning. The modules Foundations of Cardiovascular and Respiratory Sciences and Study Design have a more academic and scientific approach, whereas the modules Reflections and Evaluation of Clinical Practice and Quality in Cardiovascular and Respiratory Healthcare are more clinically focused. On this slide, we've summarised the key information about these modules for you, including the number of teaching days and the assessment type. And I'm going to take you through these modules one by one. So for Foundations of Cardiovascular and Respiratory Science, this is a double credit module. It's worth 15 ECT credits. It's the first module you take when you join us. It's led by Dr. Rashida Chowdhury, who is an electrophysiologist here at the National Heart and Lung Institute. And the module covers cardiovascular and respiratory anatomy, physiology, and some pathophysiology as well. There are 19 days of teaching with a written and an oral assessment. Moving on to study design. Study design is led by Dr. Andre Amaral. Andre is an epidemiologist here, and the module covers and teaches you the principles and practice of quantitative and qualitative research. You'll also be given statistical training, and currently we're teaching our students how to use the R coding program. There are 8 days of on-campus teaching for this, and the assessment is a written piece of coursework. Moving on to our more clinically focused core modules, Reflections and Evaluation of Clinical Practice is led by Professor Elizabeth Renzoni. Elizabeth is a respiratory consultant practicing at the Royal Brompton Hospital. And in this model, Elizabeth will teach you how to critique clinical practice in relation to evidence-based guidelines and reflect on how to improve clinical practice. There are 4 days of teaching for this, but importantly, in this module, our students have the opportunity to attend 4 clinics from across our partner hospitals. So, for example, the Brompton Hospital and Hammersmith Hospital, to observe how respiratory and cardiovascular healthcare is being delivered. Lastly, the last core module our students take is Quality in Cardiovascular and Respiratory Healthcare. This is led by Dr. Peter George, who is also a respiratory consultant practicing at the Royal Brompton. And in this module, you will learn how to critically consider the factors contributing to the delivery of high quality healthcare. There are 5 days of teaching for this, and the assessment for quality is an oral assessment. So I hope you can see that our core modules will really embed for our students not only the academic and scientific approach to healthcare, but also about how do you deliver healthcare in practice and evaluate the quality of healthcare that you deliver. Moving on to the elective modules, we have 4 elective modules available for the upcoming academic year. 2 of the modules relate to cardiovascular healthcare and 2 relate to respiratory healthcare. For cardiovascular, we have the Innovations in the Management of Cardiovascular Disease led by Professor Stuart Rosen. This has 6 days of on-campus teaching, and the assessment is an oral presentation. We have Cardiovascular Health, Prevention and Rehabilitation, which is led by Dr. Kajaluxi Anafan, with 4 days of on-campus teaching and 2 days of remote teaching, again assessed with an oral presentation. For our respiratory modules, the first one is Pulmonary Rehabilitation and Community Respiratory Care, led by Professor Nick Hopkinson. That's 7 days of on-campus teaching with an oral assessment. And the final elective module is Respiratory Failure and Respiratory Support, led by Dr. Lydia Finney, with 4 days of on-campus teaching and a practical OSPE assessment, which is an observed, structured, practical examination. It's a standard way of assessing students on medical and healthcare programs. So moving on now, having explained our modules to you, we can start to think about how they all combine together and what your journey through the MSc is going to look like. So on this slide, I've summarised the MSc journey for a full-time student. The timeline shows when the different modules are taught during the academic year. We start in October with the core modules, Foundations in blue and Study Design in orange. The college closes for a couple of days over Christmas, and then when we return in January, our students undertake their elective modules, shown here. They also begin in pale green, the core module, Reflective Practice, and you can see that that's quite a long module, and that goes from the spring term and into the summer term. At Easter, there's another short period of college closure, And when we return for the summer term, our full-time students will undertake the quality, the core module quality, and begin work on their research project, which then continues all the way through June, July, August to their final assessment in September. For those of you who may be interested in studying part-time, this is split across 2 years. Year 1 is summarised at the top and Year 2 is summarised at the bottom. In Year 1, part-time students complete the foundations module. In the spring term, they complete 2 elective modules, and then in the summer, they complete the core module quality. When they return to us for their second year, they begin their second academic year with the core module study design. In the spring term, when they return to us, they do their final third elective and the core module reflective practice. That means that after the Easter break, when they come back, they are fully committed to studying for their research project. So looking ahead, should you wish to come and join us here at the National Heart and Lung Institute, here are some key dates for your diary. It's expected that Imperial's induction week, so this is the induction that the university hosts for all of our students, on Monday the 29th of September 2025. And teaching will start on Monday the 6th of October. Our final assessment then will be in September 2026, and these will be your final assessments will be for the research project, and degrees will be awarded in November 2026, which means that you will graduate in the remarkable setting of the Royal Albert Hall in summer 2027. If you don't know where the Royal Albert Hall is, it's just behind Imperial's main campus in South Kensington, and it overlooks Hyde Park. It really is quite a special place to get some wonderful photos of our graduates. So how will you learn? This is a really important question, and it's frequently asked, and it marries up with how will I be assessed. So we'll talk about those 2 things now over the next couple of minutes. Our teaching and learning approach here at Imperial is very, very student focused, and we have multi-mode delivery. What this means in practice is that we put our students at the heart of what we do in the classroom. And we've been able to keep the best practices that we've learned from recent years to deliver teaching in a range of different formats. We still teach using the traditional lectures and seminars, but we also use hands-on workshops, problem-based learning, journal clubs, clinical case studies, guided online learning, and video tutorials. We have a wide range of experiential learning experiences, and this is a highlight of the programme, and I'm going to expand upon that in my next slide. Our teaching is delivered by clinical and research specialists in the field, and it's supported by a dedicated full-time senior teaching fellow, which not all master's programmes in the UK have. And finally, we assess your learning using a range of authentic formats to showcase your knowledge and skills. These include scientific report writing, oral presentations, poster presentations, case study analysis, and journal clubs. And we describe these as authentic assessments because they're deliberately designed to replicate professional activities that you will undertake in the workplace. Your MSc is a stepping stone. You're going to move on from us. And this means when we develop authentic assessments, you're able to develop and showcase skills that you will actually use in your working and professional lives. So I want to spend some time telling you about the experiential learning that we have on our MSc. These opportunities are a unique part of our MSc, which sets us apart from many of our programmes. And, from many of our MSc programs and other universities here in the UK. For those of you who don't know, experiential learning means to learn through experience. And we make the most of the truly remarkable facilities that are available in the Faculty of Medicine and our associated hospitals to create learning experiences for our students which cannot be accessed anywhere else. And our students frequently cite these experiences as a highlight of the MSc for them. We spend 2 days in the Human Anatomy unit up at Charing Cross Hospital. Here, our students visit the Pathology Museum and also the human dissection rooms. And this allows our students to experience and learn cardiovascular and respiratory anatomy hands-on. Our students visit the cardiac catheterization labs at Hammersmith Hospital, and they complete exercise physiology projects for their foundations assessment. We have allergy practicals and smoking cessation practicals in our elective modules. Lastly, we're especially pleased to be able to take our students to a scientific conference. So in November, as part of the Foundations module, we visit the winter meeting of the British Thoracic Society. The BTS is the UK's premier society of leading respiratory healthcare professionals and scientists, and it's an opportunity to hear the latest research firsthand and of course to network. Moving on now from the taught elements of the programme to the research project. The research project will be the capstone of your MSc. It's where you can apply and develop all of the skills and knowledge that you've gained and learnt during the taught modules. Our projects are supervised by our academics here at the National Heart and Lung Institute, and during your project you will become embedded within their research teams and contribute to the cutting-edge research we carry out here at the National Heart and Lung Institute. You will be making the step up to work alongside our academics and researchers whose work you will have been learning about in the taught modules, and indeed whose work you will have heard about being presented at conferences like the winter meeting of the BTS. We offer a range of different project types from the cardiovascular and respiratory fields, and our projects include clinical research, where our students collect data from patients or healthy volunteers in the clinic, laboratory projects where our students go into the world-class facilities we have here at Imperial and carry out their own experiments. Some students choose to do data analysis projects using the large databases that are available or systematic reviews of the literature. And these project types offer flexibility to students in terms of study. And for those students who are interested in improving healthcare, we offer projects in service evaluation and service improvement. Lastly, our students have the opportunity to develop their own project ideas alongside an Imperial academic, as indeed I think both Ellen and Cindy did. And these are really great opportunities because you can then you can develop them further then into PhD opportunities as well at the end of your MSc. So what happened next? So we're going to move on to talk about, what happened next to all of our graduates after they've celebrated with their loved ones and their family and friends at the Royal Albert Hall. As I said earlier, an MSc is a stepping stone. It's not your final destination. It's somewhere that you pass through, on the journey that is your life, to your career and beyond. And it's a stepping stone which opens up a great many different and really exciting opportunities for you. We now have over 125 graduates, and being a healthcare MSc, it'll be no surprise to hear that many of our graduates go on to study medicine, either at undergraduate level or graduate level. We've had some students who have gone on to study dentistry. We've had graduates who've been successful in gaining places on the extremely competitive NHS scientists in training programme, and they're now working as cardiac physiologists in the NHS. Our nursing students have used the qualification to gain promotion and are now clinical nurse specialists, or they've moved to become research nurses. They've also transitioned out of the NHS into the charity sector, and working also as medical imaging project managers. Many of our students go on to become cardiac physiologists and respiratory physiologists as an alternative route to going via the scientist in training programme. In terms of research, a great many of our students go on to further study at PhD level. Both here at Imperial, where we have 7 students who have either completed or who are currently undertaking or about to embark on PhD study at Imperial, but also, with they also embark on PhDs at other universities in the UK and internationally. In addition, our graduates have embarked on educational careers as university lecturers, both here in the UK as well as overseas. And lastly, some graduates move into industry, working in pharmacovigilance, medical writers and project managers, and so on. I'm finally onto my last couple of slides, and I really hope that what you've seen here today has tempted you into applying to study for our MSc here at Imperial College. So what follows now is some key information and the next steps. The entry requirements for the programme are an upper second class BSc or equivalent in a medical, biomedical or healthcare subject. If you speak English as an additional language, you will need to demonstrate your competency in English by meeting the higher English language requirements. Applicants must also submit a personal statement, and your personal statement should demonstrate that the course is right for you, and also demonstrate that you have the skills, knowledge and aptitude to achieve the course requirements. And lastly, your application must be supported by 2 references. Applicants who meet the first 3 requirements are guaranteed an interview once we've received one of your references. If you don't meet the programme academic requirements, or if you are currently an undergraduate student and you don't know your results yet, please do apply anyway, as the application will be assessed on its merits. And in some cases, and in these cases, the personal statement can be pivotal. And it may be that you don't meet the university's minimum requirements, which is a lower second class degree or a 2-2. In this event, there is a special case procedure for applicants who have substantial professional clinical experience. Lastly, I should say that as an MSc course, we do not accept intercalating MBBS students. In terms of the actual process for applying, applications are now open. Applications must be made online, and you'll have to register with My Imperial to make an application. You can submit 1 application form per year, but you can choose up to 2 courses. There is an application fee, but we do have a number of fee waivers for those who meet the criteria. So please do contact us on the MSc email for information about this. In terms of the process, applications are reviewed, the programme reviews applications weekly. Interviews are held online twice a month. And then if an offer is made, it's typically made within 5 working days of the interview. So the process should be completed within 4 weeks of your first application. The deadline for home applications is the 1st of August 2025, and the deadline for overseas applications is earlier. and it'll be on the 30th of June 2025. And the reason we close our overseas applications earlier is because is to allow time for the visa paperwork to be completed. We do strongly suggest that you apply early, as we will close applications once our places fill up. Moving on to scholarships, this year we're delighted to be able to offer one scholarship specifically for the MSc. The MSc scholarship will award £2,000 towards your tuition fees. It is available to both home and overseas students who are starting in 2025. And to be eligible for the scholarship, you must hold an offer for the full MSc. The deadline for applications is the 2nd of June, and you can find further details of the scholarship on our web pages. In addition to our own programme scholarship, there are a number of other internal scholarships offered by Imperial College. So the Faculty of Medicine offers the Dean's Master's Scholarship and the Dr. Jean Alero Thomas Scholarship. The deadline for applying for these scholarships is the 24th of April 2025, and you can find further details of this on the Faculty of Medicine websites. Those scholarships are open to anyone applying for for a master's course in the Faculty of Medicine, so not just the programme. If you go to the Imperial College Scholarship webpage, you can search on their website for all of Imperial's internal scholarship, but also for many external opportunities as well. Do check the application deadlines for all of these scholarships and also the eligibility. So I'm down to my last couple of slides now. If you have not joined our mailing list, please do so. The link for joining the mailing list below, and we'll also drop that into the chat. If you join our mailing list, this will allow us to keep you updated with the latest news about the programme and also key dates. Right, thank you for listening. It's time now for questions. I can't see if there are any in the chat yet. I think Dawn or Jen will let me know. But I do know that you have already been submitting questions ahead of today's presentation. So I have captured some of those on this slide here. So we'll run through these questions quickly. Ellen and Cindy are here to help me with some of them. And you'll see that I've answered some of them during the programme anyway, but they're important questions, so it's worth repeating this information for you. So the first question is, when will the applications for the session be open? They're opened already. Please do submit your applications. As I say, we will close early when we fill up our places. Can we defer to the next batch? No. Deferrals are made in really very exceptional cases, and in the first instance, we do not usually offer deferrals. So if you're applying, you should expect we expect you to be attending and enrolling in October 2025. What is the expected time frame for receiving a decision from the department following applying? Usually within 4 weeks, sometimes a bit quicker, very occasionally if there's college closure or some annual leave, a little bit later, but we endeavour to get everything done within 4 weeks. What are the most important components of the applicant's profiling application that the admission teams prioritises? So there are the minimum academic requirements in terms of your degree qualification and your English test, if that's applicable. But what we really want to know and understand is your motivation for the MSc, and how will this MSc help you achieve what it is that you want to do next. as I said, the MSc is not your destination, it's simply a stepping stone. So in your personal statement, tell us about where you're going to go after and how this MSc in particular will help you get there. Is there acceptance of international qualifications, and what specific clinical skills are required on the course? Yes, we do accept international qualifications. Our admissions department will assess your qualification to see if it's suitable. So if you have any queries about that, please do direct them to the university's admission department. No specific clinical skills are required on the course. It's not a clinical course. We teach you how to apply research in the clinical context. So we don't require you to have clinical skills. Who typically enrolls on the course? Daryl covered this at the start of the MSc, but I'd like to call in actually Cindy and Ellen here, and they can tell you about who was on their course. They can tell you a bit about themselves perhaps, and a bit about their colleagues.
Hi everyone, I'm Cindy. Me and Ellen actually come from quite similar backgrounds. So I did kinesiology in Canada, and Ellen did sports science at UCL. I don't know if Ellen, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ellen. Thank you, Cindy, for the introduction. And I come from a sports and exercise medical sciences background, so similar to sports science, but with some clinical aspects to it. And who typically enrolls on this course? We have basic scientists, we have recent graduates, we have medical doctors, we have quite a few nurses and physiotherapists as well.
And then we also had some respiratory therapists, and for the new grads, we had people also studying pharmacology and nutrition. I think that was mostly for our cohort.
Yeah, and Cindy and Ellen's cohort is fairly representative of the cohort that we have each year. We have a group of sort of recent graduates who are biomedical graduates or pharmacology graduates, and there's always a sports scientist in there somewhere. And then we have our healthcare professionals who are returning to education. And they will be nurses, physios, paramedics, respiratory therapists. So it's a really, really good mix. And the balance, it's a good balance because the skills that each of those groups of people bring are very different, and they allow them to learn from each other. So for example, our recent graduates are very familiar with essay writing and assessments and studying, and our healthcare professionals have a very good understanding of how the research is used and how they apply it in their day-to-day work. And both groups learn from each other. The next question then is, how effective is this course for work in the UK as a respiratory physiologist or cardiovascular physiologist? I'm going to say, quite effective. Many of our graduates go on and do that work. So it certainly allows you to access those jobs. And the final question, final submitted question is it possible to study the MSc after an 11-year study gap? Yes, absolutely. There are challenges for all of our students coming on the course. If you're the step up from undergraduate level to postgraduate level is a large one. And whether you're a recent graduate or someone who's returning to education, you will have your own challenges in undertaking MSc level study at Imperial College. So it's important that you spend some time reflecting on what those might be. But yeah, we have, from our healthcare professionals, we have people who return to education over similar gaps and have been very, very successful. Okay.
There's a few questions in the chat. So
Okay.
some of them you've addressed already. What proportion of students are qualified medical doctors? I think you've kind of covered that. We do always have one or two, don't we?
Yeah, probably about 10%, something like 10%. Yeah.
Yep. And then, is part-time available for international students? I would say from our point of view, yes, but it depends on your scholarship and visa requirements, I think. So from our point of view, there's no problem, but it may be that there are restrictions depending on where you're coming from and who's funding you. Is the course suitable for people with little research experience?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, yes, certainly. So it's one of the reasons people come on the course is to gain research experience. So like I say, our recent graduates have often done some research recently as part of their undergraduate qualification, but very often our healthcare professionals haven't done any research at all. It's a bit more challenging for them at the beginning of the course, but there's support through foundations and also through study design for you to learn those research skills. I can see that Ellen is nodding vigorously there. Yeah. Have you got anything to add, Ellen? Or no? Okay.
Okay. Next question is: what is the age range? It's quite wide, is it not?
It's quite wide. It's gone. So the youngest, obviously, people who are 21, but we have people in their 40s, their 50s, and their 60s enrolling on the course.
And then the last question, I think you've kind of covered it. Someone's asked about they've completed a BSc in nursing from overseas 11 years ago. Do you think that's possible? And the answer is, I think you said yes.
Yeah. Returning to education is always possible for us at any stage of our life. Yeah. And actually, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, just to pick up on that point as well, if you spend some time on the Imperial website, you'll see that one of the university's new strategies is to develop the Institute of Lifelong Learning. So lifelong learning is a goal for Imperial as a university and as an institution. So yeah. So coming back to education should be supported and encouraged, and we'd be delighted to have you.
Somebody else has also asked what a typical week looks like. Is there such a thing? It varies a lot, doesn't it?
It varies. Cindy, Ellen, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, sure. Me and Ellen actually are two good examples because we took opposite modules. So for me, I took all of my modules more in the cardio side. So when you start, everybody sort of has the same schedule. It's more of 9 to 5 just to get everybody on the same level in terms of what for study design, and then just foundations of all the physiology and the pathophysiology. And then after, I think December is when everybody started to have a bit different schedules based on the classes that they picked. So for me, I had a bit of a slower start in January based on the timing of when my courses started. So I had around 3 full days a week, I would say. And then in April is when you start your research project. And from that point forward, it kind of depends based on the supervisor that you had. But for me, I had a project that was in the lab. So I was in the lab, around 9 to 5 for most days, just because I had experiments going on.
I would say I have a similar schedule to Cindy, despite me having more respiratory focused modules. My project was more on the computational side, but I was keen to be in the office to work because I can't work at home. So I was also in the office every single day, but the typical week varies depending on if you have clinic visits, if you have lectures, if you have anything to do with your supervisor. So quite unpredictable. So to say, after the January month passes, you're just like, ooh.
I think it's and that partly talks to one of the differences between postgraduate education and undergraduate education, whereby a large amount of the focus is on your own independent learning. So students who come for postgraduate education are expected to be independent adult learners, and within that you manage your own time. So there are days, so all teaching is compulsory, and the days that you're required to be on campus will change. But how you manage your time in your study independently outside of that is up to you. And you know, and like Helen said, you know, some people just love being on campus, going up to, you know, the main library, or when you're doing your research project, as I said, you become embedded in the research team. So being there every day, you know, living and breathing the research. So, you know, so you really understand how your work contributes to the wider research that we do here at NHLI. It's a fantastic opportunity.
Okay. Another question?
Yeah.
Someone's asked, how long does the letter of acceptance last? Does it expire? When you apply, you will be given a time frame in which to accept the offer. If you don't accept it, they will nudge you to do so. If you don't accept it, then your offer will get withdrawn. So there is a limited time in which you can accept it. And they've also asked, our applications open for January? No, we don't open them in January. So it's just they'll be open now until the deadlines that Leanne's already explained, so August and June, and then they'll reopen again once the course starts. But you can't enter the course in January.
Yeah. There's only.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. So the course starts. Or students enroll at the end of September. Was it the 25th of September? I said, Dawn. So there's only one point of enrolment. You can only enroll at the start of the academic year. We do not enroll students in January.
No, and as I say, there is a window for you to accept the offer, and if you don't, they'll be chasing you. And I noticed that Esther has her hand up.
Hi, Esther.
Hi, can you all hear me?
We can.
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for this whole session. It was truly helpful. I just want to ask I just want your advice, basically. So my background is nursing. I've done bachelor's in nursing from Qatar. And then I did my MRes in clinical research in King's College London last year. And then now I'm working as a nurse in cardiac surgery in St. Bart's Hospital. But I do want to progress into PhD or into education at some point, because I do have MRes right now. But my question is, it might be silly, what would your advice be in terms of pursuing this course? MSc in cardiovascular and this particular course, do you think, because I'm just really confused and thinking a lot about, is this the right way to go, or should I
just remind me where you are now? So where you are now, sorry, you said you were doing what?
Right now, I'm actually working in St. Bart's Hospital in cardiac surgery post-op.
Fine. And you are thinking of going into education as a nurse teacher, is that right?
Yeah, I would like that route. Whatever, whichever opportunity I get, I would pursue that. So it could be either research or in terms of education in that way.
And by research, do you mean doing a PhD yourself?
Yes.
Or being part of a research team, there are research nurses attached to hospitals that run research projects, but they're not doing PhDs themselves.
I would, if that helps me get into PhD in an easier pathway. I think it's really important if you have that sort of experience, your application will be stronger. So in that way, yes, I would like to. But eventually a PhD is what I'm thinking of, because
that's your long-term plan. Yeah. So you have the MRes. So this is this would be something positive towards a PhD, but after the MRes, have you already started looking out? So where was the MRes done?
At King's College London.
Fine, yeah. So Leanne, what's your feeling on the relative contributions of an MRes and an MSc?
I mean, like Daryl says, the MSc will be a positive contribution to applying for a PhD, but with an MRes, you could apply for a PhD directly.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's
So the
what, yeah.
incremental benefit is smaller, is
Yeah,
what we're trying to
yeah,
say.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
certainly a great thing. I just wonder if it's difficult to find, it's not going to be miraculously easier to find. And typically, normally with a PhD, you'd write a fellowship application and apply to
Yeah.
NIHR or something like that.
Mhm.
And why don't you try that within Bart's? We're not trying to put you off, but yeah.
No. No, this is exactly why I chose to come to this, just to ask whether to do it or not, because it's a lot of money as well. I would like to be funded. That's the only way I'll do this program. That's number one. Which is obviously you can't tell, right? We can't tell whether I would be funded or not. And the problem is in Bart's, I've been looking into a lot of, there is a cardiac course, specializing cardiac course that will start probably September, which I'm trying to get on with. And also NIHR have applied recently to another program for PhD, but I'm still waiting on for a response, basically. I've been applying all around, but I was just thinking like, I mean, your advice is basically, I got it. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So that was my basic understanding of whether or not to proceed with this. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Another question. Yeah, there's a couple more. So someone's asking if after completing this course, do they get registration from the NMC? I don't quite know.
That's the Nursing and Midwifery Council. No, this is
So
not
the
a
answer's
course
no.
that goes straight into to work as a nurse. That's a different approach, and you should talk to the NMC directly about that. What is needed for that? It's presumably somebody who is a nurse in another country trying to get UK nursing qualification, and this doesn't provide that. You should talk to the NMC about what kind of course would be needed for that conversion.
Thank you, Daryl. So the last question that's here at the moment, it says, can you describe what a part-time curriculum will be like? The part-time course is over 2 years instead of 1, and basically it splits the course in half, more or less, does it not? That's about right, isn't it?
Yeah.
So half
so
is
you
done
do-
in the first year. Carry on, sorry, Leanne.
Yeah. So you do sort of the foundations module and 2 electives and the quality module in year 1, and then in the second year you do study design, the 3rd elective, the reflections and evaluation of clinical practice, and your research project.
So although it cuts it in half, it does mean that first term is still quite heavy and still quite a lot of teaching days that you'd need to come in for. So although it's part-time, that first term is always a little bit tough.
Yeah, so the part-timeness relates to the number of modules that you take. The modules themselves cannot be taken part-time. It's how many modules you take per year. Okay. So I can't see any other new questions in the chat.
No, there's nothing at the moment. If anybody wants any more answers, can you please put your question in now? Yeah, as Jen's just put in the chat, please email the Cardio Resp Health email address if you do have any more questions or think of anything later.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. We can draw this to a close.
Yeah, we look forward to reading your applications. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
everyone. Bye.